In this video we discuss section 33 onwards. In the analysis we have seen that 8 to the power 2 by 3 can be evaluated using 8 to the power 1 by 3 whole to the power 2, that is cube root of 8 whole to the power 2. So that is nothing but 2, cube root of 8 is 2, then 2 to the power 2, that is 4. So this is the way we evaluate exponents in real analysis. But if you have complex numbers, say z and c, how will you evaluate z power c? This is the question discussed in this section. For example, how will you evaluate some I to the power I? How will you evaluate this exponent? Okay, so this is the problem we have to discuss in this section. So we evaluate this using by making the use of exponent function and logarithmic functions. Okay, that means this can be written as e to the power log z power c. We know that e and log are inverse functions. We have already discussed in the last class, and this can be written as e to the power c log z. Okay. Now we evaluate this thing. You can easily evaluate this because log z is defined and exponents is also defined. So using this fact we can evaluate the exponents in complex analysis. For problem, for example, we write how will evaluate I to the power minus 2i. Okay, so so this is like z to the power c. Okay, now we write this as this is equal to e to the power log I to the power minus 2i. This can be written as e to the power minus 2i times log I. Okay, so we will evaluate the exponent first, minus 2i log I. Okay, so that is I to the power minus 2i is e to the power minus 2i log I. Okay, so how will you evaluate log I? Log I is already discussed in the last class. Log I can be obtained using the amplitude and modulus and amplitude form, that is 1 times e to the power I pi, or you can write this as log 1 times e to the power I times pi plus 2 pi to n pi. Then we can easily write, sorry, this I is pi by 2, this is pi by 2, so pi by 2 plus 2n pi. This log 1 log of this. Here n is equal to 0 plus or minus 1 etc. And we can write this is equal to log 1 plus, by the definition of logarithm, this is log 1 plus I times pi by 2 plus 2n pi, where n is equal to 0, 1 plus or minus 1 etc. So this is the expression for log I. Okay, since this log 1 is 0, we can write this is I times pi by 2 plus 2n pi. Okay, n is equal to 0 plus or minus 1 plus or minus 2 etc. So this is the value of log I. Okay, now we have to evaluate minus 2i times log I, that is minus 2i times I times pi by 2 plus 2n pi. Okay, n is equal to 0 plus or minus 1 plus or minus 2 etc. So now we can evaluate minus 2i times log I. So that is equal to, this I square is minus 1, so this will be minus times minus 2, that is 2 itself, and pi by 2 plus 2n pi. So this is the value of minus 2i times log I, where n varies from 0 plus or minus 1 plus or minus 2 etc. Now we evaluate minus I times I to the power minus 2i. So this is in fact e to the power minus 2i log I, and we replace minus 2i log I using this equation. This is in fact pi plus 4n pi. Okay, so this is e to the power pi plus 4n pi. So this is the value of where n is equal to 0, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, etc. So this is in fact minus I times minus I to the power minus 2i can be written as e to the power, this is 4n plus 1 times pi, 4n plus 1 times pi, where n is equal to 0 plus or minus 1 plus or minus 2, etc. So the interesting fact is we started with two complex numbers, I and minus 2i. So if you find this exponent, you will get a real number. Okay, minus I to the power minus 2i is nothing but e to the power 4n plus 1 pi. So if you put n is equal to 0, you will get 1, n is equal to 1, you will get e to the power 5 pi, etc. So all these values are real numbers. So complex exponent may be a real number. So this is an interesting example, and there are one or two examples are discussed later on in this example. So first of all, we can write this is a real number, and we will discuss another one more problem from this section that will give the idea of principal value. We already discussed what is a principal value. So we have the definition of principal value right here. That is the principal value of z raised to c. That is the principal value z raised to c occurs when log z is replaced by capital log z. In the expression z raised to c is equal to e to the power c log z. So if you consider this log z, then we just replace this log z by capital log z. Capital log z stands for, in order to write this log z, this value is lnr plus I times argument of z. Okay, this is theta. Where z is equal to r into e raised to I theta, where theta satisfies the equation minus pi. That means there is we need to select a branch, minus pi less than theta less than or equal to this pi or less than pi. Okay, if we choose theta in such a way that z is equal to r into e raised to I theta with this condition, then the corresponding logarithm. Now here we have only one value. We are not using the general form of this. We use only one value from the branch minus pi to this pi, and we express log r plus I times theta. This theta is argument of z. Then this corresponding logarithm is called capital log z. Okay, so logarithm log z has infinitely many values. So once you write this capital L for this log z, then that represents only one value. The value comes from the principal branch, or minus pi less than theta less than pi. So such a if we write such a value instead of log z here, then z raised to c, this exponent will have only one value called e raised to c times log z. This is what we call principal value, and it is denoted by PV, principal value of z raised to c. The exponent is z raised to c. So this is what we call principal value. Okay, there are 2 or 3 examples are discussed after this, so please go through it. So there will be a question like this: find the principal value of an exponent. So in order to get the principal value of exponent from this expression, you need to choose this log of I. This is log I. From this log I, we need to choose n is equal to 0. Then only we will get principal value. That is capital log I will be I times pi by 2 plus 2 times 0 plus 0 times pi. So this will give the principal value, that is pi by 2. So that will be I pi by 2. So when we use this I pi by 2 in the place of this log I, then you can say that the corresponding value of I to the power minus 2i is the principal value. Okay, so in case of principal value, we have here we have e to the power pi. Okay, by putting n is equal to 0 here. Okay, so this is problems discussed in section 33. Now we move on to trigonometric functions, section 34. Section 34 deals with trigonometric functions. In this session we define trigonometric sin z and cos z by means of e power ix. We know that for a real value x, e power ix equal to cos x plus I sin x. Okay. Therefore e power minus ix equal to cos minus x, that is cos x itself, minus I sin x, because sin minus x equal to minus sin x. Then once you write this, we call it as 1 and this is 2, and 1 plus 2 will give, okay, e power ix plus e power minus ix, that is the left hand side, which is equal to 2 times cos x. That means using e power ix you can define first of all cos x. Cos x can be written as 1 by 2 times e power ix plus e power minus ix. In the similar fashion, by subtracting we will get sin x equal to 1 by, if you subtract these things you will get the right hand side will be 2 times I sin x. Okay, so this will be 2 times I sin x will be e power ix minus e power minus ix. Now if we write sin x from this expression, we will get 1 by 2i times e power ix minus e power minus ix, or equivalently you can write minus I by 2 e power ix minus e power minus ix. So this is the expression for sin x in terms of cos x and e raised to ix and e raised to minus ix. And using this fact we define complex sin z. Complex sin z is defined using this formula, that is e power iz minus e power minus iz divided by 2i, or you can write this 1 by I as minus I and cos z. The other trigonometric function, complex function, is defined as e power iz plus, this is e power iz plus e power minus iz divided by 2. So these are called complex trigonometric functions, and using the fact that if we consider the derivative of e power iz, derivative of this function is I times e power iz itself, then from this equation you can get what is the derivative of d by dz of sin z. Okay, that is derivative of this expression. Derivative of e power iz is I e power iz minus I e power minus iz divided by 2i, and this can be written as, by cancelling this I, you will get e power iz plus e power minus iz divided by 2. Consequently this will be our cos z. So derivative of sin z is cos z, and in the similar fashion we can prove the derivative of cos z is equal to minus sin z as well. Okay, so these are the two trigonometric functions, and properties of all the properties of sin and cos can be extended to this complex sin and cos itself. Okay, and now we have some interesting properties of the sin z and cos z. We know that if you consider sin z as e power iz minus e power minus iz divided by 2, then if you replace this z by 2n pi or z by z plus 2n pi, you will get what is sin z plus 2n pi. Okay, so we know that if we replace this thing, then that will be e power I times z plus 2n pi, okay, minus e to the power minus I times z plus 2n pi whole divided by 2i. This is 2i, right? This is 2i. Then you can say that this is e power iz times e power I 2n pi, that is again 1. So this is e power iz minus e to the power minus, here we have again e power minus iz because of the fact that e power I 2n pi or e power minus I 2n pi. This is the reciprocal of this one, both are 1. So we have the same thing. Okay, so which shows that this is our sin z, which shows that sin z plus 2n pi is same as sin z. So sin z as well as cos z are functions of period 2n pi. Okay, so these are the this is another interesting properties for this cos z and sin z. And in the similar fashion, so what we have discussed in real analysis, we can easily discuss the relations like sin square z plus cos square z is equal to 1, and so please try to prove these formulas using this definition. So take it an exercise. And also we are using the sin and cos, you can define tan, and you can study the properties of tan z using the sin and cos. So tan z is also defined using the sin z and cos z. So these are complex numbers rather than real numbers. So we can consider complex trigonometric functions as well. In the next session, section 35 deals with another interesting functions on complex variables, that is hyperbolic functions. Hyperbolic complex function. Hyperbolic real function is defined as e to the power x, e to the power plus, this is in fact cos hyperbolic x equal to e to the power x plus e to the power minus x divided by 2. Okay, so similarly sin hyperbolic x equal to e to the power x minus e to the power minus x divided by 2. So using these facts, we can easily define complex hyperbolic functions as cos hyperbolic z as e to the power z plus e to the power minus z divided by 2, and sin hyperbolic z as e to the power z minus e to the power minus z divided by 2. So one thing you should remember is if you consider cos z, we have e to the power I z. Okay, rather than z. In hyperbolic functions we have e to the power z only and denominator is 2. But in case of sin hz, in complex trigonometric function sin z, here we have e raised to I z, and here we have e raised to minus I z and divided by 2i. Okay, here all the i's are absent here. Okay, so we in case of hyperbolic function we define hyperbolic function in this manner, sin hz and cos hz. So using these two hyperbolic functions, you can easily derive all formula discussed in real analysis in complex analysis as well. Now we move on to section 36, that is very important section. So in this section we discuss the inverse of trigonometric functions. Trigonometric or hyperbolic functions. Inverses of trigonometric and hyperbolic functions. So here we have some problems. How will you find sine inverse z? This is the meaning of inverse trigonometric functions. Okay, what is sine inverse of? We know that sine inverse of 1 is pi by 2. This is because of the fact that sine pi by 2 is equal to 1. Okay, so this is the meaning of inverse function. So in real analysis we can easily find that sine pi by 2 is equal to 1, then that can be rephrased as sine inverse. In terms of inverse trigonometric function, sine inverse of 1 is pi by 2. Okay, but in case of complex analysis, we use the same technique. How will you find sine inverse of minus I? If sine inverse of minus I is equal to some omega, then how will you find omega? That's the problem here. That means meaning of this is sine omega is equal to minus I. How will you find sine omega? By definition, sine omega is equal to e to the power I omega minus e to the power minus I omega divided by 2i. This is the definition of sine. Okay, this is equal to minus I. Okay, we need to find out omega which satisfies this condition. Now we put e to the power I omega is equal to some t. Then this equation becomes t minus t to the power minus 1 divided by 2i is equal to minus I. Consequently, we have t minus 1 by t is equal to, by transposing this 2i to the right hand side, we will get 2 times I times minus I. That is 2 itself, because I square is minus 1. Now we have a quadratic equation by simplifying this expression, that is t square minus 2t minus 1 equal to 0. By multiplying throughout by t, we will get t square, this is minus 1, this is 2t, and using the trigonometric formula, using the quadratic formula, we can easily find out t. So this t is equal to negative b, that is minus of minus 2, that is 2, plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac. B square is, b is 2 here, so b square is 4, minus 4ac means minus 1 times minus 1. Okay, so 4ac means this is 4 times a is 1 and c is minus 1, and this is this one, whole divided by 2. So this will give, this is equal to t, this implies t is equal to 2 plus or minus square root of 8 divided by 2. Okay, so this is equal to, by cancelling these two, we know that root 8 is 2 root 2, then cancelling out all these 2, then we can write this is plus or minus 1 plus or minus root 2. Okay, so this is the value of t. Okay, what is t? T is e power I omega. So e power I omega, this implies e power I omega will be 1 plus or minus root 2. Okay, then we can write I omega is equal to log of 1 plus or minus root 2. Consequently, omega will be, by transposing or multiplying with minus I on both sides, we will get omega is equal to minus I times log 1 plus or minus root 2. So this is the value of omega. This is what we call sine inverse of this minus I. So sine inverse of minus I is nothing but minus I times logarithm of 1 plus or minus root 2. This is the value of sine inverse. So in general, how do we evaluate this sine inverse? Okay, sine inverse of z. This can be evaluated, suppose this is omega, then this can be evaluated using the fact that sine omega is equal to z. By substituting the value of sine omega, we will get e to the power I omega minus e to the power minus I omega whole divided by 2y, which is equal to z. Consequently, this implies by putting e raised to I omega is equal to t, this will be t minus 1 by t divided by 2y equal to z, where e power I omega is equal to t. Using the same technique we have used in this problem, we can easily get the value of this t is equal to, by rewriting this equation as a quadratic equation, we will get we'll write that equation as well. That is t square minus t is equal to 2z, t square minus 1. This is t square minus 1 equal to 2i tz. Okay, so this will reduce this to a quadratic equation as t square minus 2i z t minus 1 equal to 0. Okay, like this. This equivalent to this one. Now we will get the value of t as t is nothing but e power I omega. E power I omega is equal to t, and t can be obtained from this quadratic equation as this is negative b, that is 2iz plus or minus square root of b square, that is minus 2iz whole square. That will be 4 minus 4 z square and minus 4ac, 4 times 1 times minus 1, so this is 4 itself, whole divided by 2. So this is in fact I z by cancelling out 2 will get I z plus or minus square root of 1 minus z square whole divided by 1 minus z square whole divided by 1 by cancelling out this 2. Then from this equation we will get the expression for omega, that is e raised to I omega is equal to I z plus or minus square root of 1 minus z square. Then from this equation we can write I omega is equal to log of this, log of I z plus or minus square root of 1 minus z square, and equivalently omega, which is going to be sine inverse of z. We started with this equation, sine inverse of z equal to omega. So once you obtain this omega, we can replace this omega by sine inverse z. That is nothing but this obtained by obtained from this equation by multiplying I minus I with both sides. So that will be minus I times log of I z plus square root of 1 minus z square. So in general, this is the expression for a inverse trigonometric functions. So in the similar fashion, you can define the inverse hyperbolic function. The only difference is we replace this I omega, e power I omega with t here. Then the difference is in case of hyperbolic function, here we have e raised to omega minus e raised to minus omega. There will not be I here because sin omega is z, and instead of sin omega we write sin hyperbolic omega. Sin hyperbolic omega is nothing but e power omega minus e power minus omega divided by 2. So there will not be I here on the left hand side. And solve the perform the same thing and solve for that quadratic equation and find the value of omega. So these are the problems discussed in section 36, and with this section 36 we can conclude module 1. So please go through it, and there are some other problems are discussed in this these sections from 33 to 36, and please try to solve all this, and if you have any doubts we will arrange a Google Meet as well.